There was a moment in my office meeting where I knew I should have spoken up. My chest was tight, my throat started burning, but I smiled and I said, "Yeah, sounds good." I walked out thinking I was just being professional, but the truth is, I betrayed myself. And I had been doing it for years in relationships, at work, until one day I finally asked myself, why am I the one who only never stand up for myself? You don't wake up one day and decide to abandon yourself. You start slowly, almost invisibly. You don't say what you really think because you don't want to come off as difficult. You say it's okay when it's not because you're scared that they'll pull away. You let people cross small boundaries, tell yourself that it's not a big deal and move on. And people applaud you for it. They say you're easy to work with, low maintenance, the chill one. But inside, you're slowly disappearing. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I thought I was just being mature, compromising, handling things very well. But looking back now, I wasn't just being strong. I was scared. Scared of conflict. Scared of being misunderstood. Scared that if I took up space, I'd lose the people around me. That is what no one tells young men. Self abandonment doesn't look like breakdowns, it looks like composure, like being quiet when something matters, like constantly scanning the room to make sure everyone else is comfortable while you shrink a little more every day. And the worst part, you get so good at pretending it doesn't hurt that one day you forget how to tell the truth to yourself. I remember this one meeting like a scar, clean, quiet, and invisible to everyone but me. I had stayed up late the night before, obsessing over how to present an idea I'd been working on for over a week. I even practiced how I'd say so I wouldn't stumble. I just wanted to be taken seriously, just this once. And when I finally spoke, someone cut me off mid sentence, made a joke, the room laughed, and then they moved on like I was never even speaking. I felt this wave of heat crawl up my neck, my throat closed up, my stomach dropped, but I still smiled, laughed a little bit, said something like, "Yeah, fair enough, that works too." On the outside, I looked totally fine, but on the inside, I was crumbling. Not because they ignored me, but because I ignored me. That night, I was laying in the bed, replaying the moment over and over, thinking of all the things I could have said, how I could have spoken up, how I could have said, "Hold on, let me finish." But I didn't, because deep down, I didn't think I had the right to. And this wasn't new. I realized it had been happening for years, saying yes when I actually wanted to say no, laughing off things that actually hurt, pretending I was okay just so no one else would feel uncomfortable around me. And I always told myself, it's not a big deal. But here's what nobody is going to tell you. Every time you say it's not a big deal, and it is, you chip away your own self respect. You don't lose yourself in one moment. You bleed out slowly in silence. And the most daunting part, no one sees it. Because from the outside, you look nice, easy to work with, level headed. But deep down, you start to feel like a ghost in your own life. Like you're playing a role you don't even believe in anymore. That meeting didn't break me, it showed me something I couldn't unsee. I was the one constantly stepping aside for people who didn't even ask me to. This is the exact work that pulled me off out of that cycle. Right now, I'm building a course that walks you through how to stop self abandoning yourself and start rebuilding your emotional safety from the inside out. It's based on real neuroscience, psychology, and the kind of lived experience most men were never taught how to talk about. If you ever felt like you're disappearing just to keep others around, check out the first link in the description. You'll get early access once it's ready. Alright, let's get into the real psychology behind why we do this. Let's call it out for what it is. Self abandonment isn't weakness, it's survival. And for most of us, it started way before we ever realized it. You weren't born afraid to speak your mind. You learned that honesty could cost you love, that anger made you the villain, that asking for what you needed made people uncomfortable or worse, made them leave. So, what did you do? You adapted. You became likable. You played it safe. You smiled when it hurt. You called it maturity, growth, emotional control. But underneath all that, you were betraying yourself. The worst part, you got good at it. You got so used to scanning every room, every conversation, every text for how you should be that you actually forgot how to just be. So now, even when it's safe, your body doesn't believe it. You flinch before expressing something real. You talk yourself out of what you feel. You edit your truth before anyone else hears it. You keep telling yourself, this is who I am. No, brother, it's not. That's not your personality, that's your trauma. That's years of conditioning. That's your nervous system doing everything it can to protect you, even if it means silencing yourself. This isn't just being too nice, it's about fear, the kind you never gave yourself permission to name. And until you face that fear head on, you'll keep abandoning yourself and calling it peace. It was always the same pattern. I'd be in a relationship, everything would feel amazing at the first. The late night calls, the attention, the little highs that made me feel chosen. But slowly I'd start to disappear. I'd stop asking for what I actually needed. I'd tolerate things that felt wrong in my own gut. I'd convince myself I was overreacting or that I just needed to be a little more chill. Because deep down, I believed this. If I became too much, they'll leave. So instead of expressing my truth, I swallowed it. Instead of holding boundaries, I bent them. And instead of honoring my own gut, I betrayed it. I told myself I was being understanding, that real love meant patience, that I just needed to communicate better. But what I really was doing was abandoning myself again. And here's the truth that no one told me. When you don't know how to stay loyal to yourself, you'll chase people who feel like home, even if home is where you first learned to go quiet. You won't notice it at first, but eventually you will look around and realize you're exhausted, you're resentful, you're walking on eggshells just to keep the connection alive. Not because they're asking you to, but because you are too scared to lose it. And the moment when you finally see the cost of staying silent just to stay love, that's when the real healing begins. By the time you're an adult, you think you're making conscious choices. But most of what you do, especially in relationships, in conflicts, or in pressure, isn't coming from logic. It's coming from memory, body memory. See, when you were younger, your nervous system was scanning everything. What got you love? What got you silence? What triggered rejection? And every time you felt unsafe or unseen, your body made a note: shrink here, stay quiet here, don't feel this here. That's how self abandonment gets wired in, not as a thought, but as a reflex. So now, even as an adult, when someone raises their voice, you freeze. When a friend pulls away, you chase. When a partner says they need space, you panic or over explain. And you know it's not rational, but your body doesn't really care about rational, it cares about survival. That is why so many men feel confused. They think they're too emotional or too sensitive, or that something's wrong with them. But really, your nervous system is just running an old program written during moments when you didn't really feel safe to be fully yourself. And unless you update that program, you'll keep boosting your own truth just to feel safe in someone else's story. The first real shift doesn't happen when you stop abandoning yourself. It happens when you notice it in real time. When you catch that moment where you're actually about to say it's fine and something in you whispers, no, it's not. That's where real healing begins. Not with force, but with awareness. And awareness hurts at first because now you can feel it. You can see how many times you have stayed quiet just to be accepted, how many times you have laughed off pain, how many times you have walked away from yourself just to keep the peace. But here's the thing, you don't have to go to war with that version of you. He was just trying to survive. The goal isn't to shame him, the goal is to let him rest. And to do that, you need to learn how to stay. Stay present when discomfort actually shows up. Stay grounded when your body wants to flee. Stay kind when your inner critique flares up. Stay with yourself no matter who else walks away. That's what real healing actually is. Not becoming someone new, but learning how to be you again without flinching. I used to think I needed some grand transformation. But the truth is, the tool that changed everything for me was painfully simple: pausing, not reacting, not fixing, just pausing. So, when you've been stuck in self abandonment for years, your first instinct is to overcorrect. You want to speak up louder, set harsher boundaries, prove you've changed. But that's not regulation, that's still reactivity. The real shift happened when I started practicing one question over and over again. What am I actually feeling right now? Not what I should feel, not what they want me to feel, not what's easiest to express, but what's real underneath the noise. So I started building a habit. When I felt triggered, I'd pause for 10 seconds. I'd name the emotion, not the story, the feeling. I'd ask myself if I was abandoning myself or standing with myself. That tiny pause became a doorway because when you start naming your feelings, you start reclaiming your space. You stop bleeding energy in the rooms that don't see you. You stop rehearsing how to shrink. You stop ghosting your own needs. And slowly, not all at once, you return to your body, to your truth, to your self respect. There comes a point where the ache of self abandonment becomes louder than the fear of being alone. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's quiet, almost like a click inside you. You realize you're done negotiating your worth, done over explaining your boundaries, and done shrinking to fit someone else's comfort. And the first time you choose yourself, really choose yourself, it'll feel very wrong. You'll question it. You'll think, am I being selfish or am I overreacting? But on the other side of that discomfort is freedom. Freedom to say no without guilt, to ask for what you need without apology, to feel things fully without editing yourself. And most importantly, freedom to walk away from anything that asks you to abandon who you are. Because here's the truth, self respect isn't built in giant leaps, it's built in small moments where you stop betraying yourself and start standing beside yourself. Not perfectly, not all at once, but consistently. And once you feel that power of that, there's no going back. Most people will never notice they're abandoning themselves. They'll just keep shape shifting, chasing approval, calling it love. They'll keep betraying their truth, calling it peace. But you noticed, you felt it. You've been carrying the tension of becoming someone you're not, just to feel you belong. And if you've made it till far into this video, then some part of you already knows you're done betraying yourself. Now it's about building the nervous system strength to live that truth, not just talk about it. It's the work I wish someone had handed me when I was drowning in self doubt, people pleasing, and silence. It'll walk you through the psychology, the science, and the step by step tools to rewire your emotional system so you can finally feel safe being you, fully, unapologetically, loudly. If that's the journey you're ready for, the first link in the description will give you early access. Let's rebuild this from the inside out.